G'day there guys, it's Connie here again, and welcome back to some more stories from Reddit. And yes, I am sunburnt again, don't ask. Anyway, like and subscribe and all that, and let's jump straight into the stories. Alrighty guys, we're on relationship advice. This one was written by user Mountain Inspector 298, and it's titled, I, 35 male, cheated on my wife, 36. She left without telling me anything. How can I get her back? I know, I'm aware of my faults. I know I screwed up. She and I had something beautiful. She is still the love of my life. We were together for 10 years, 2 dating and 8 married, but I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once, just one damn time. Somehow she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she found something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual and everything felt weird. The house felt emptier. I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked. I started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." That was the last thing I got from her, 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who has been the only bridge between us. But he just told me that he was her legal representative and that she didn't want to see me. I fought, I got angry, but in the end her lawyer just told me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to. I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. I know that if she gave me the chance, I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again. I know that I can make her forgive me. After all, many couples go through similar things and get over it. Why can't we be one more couple in that statistic? Why, after 8 years of marriage, am I thrown away like garbage for a mistake? I don't deserve so much indifference. I haven't been able to see her or even hear her voice in 2 years. 2 years of not being able to see or talk to the person you love the most is too much of a punishment. This situation has destroyed me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I ended up consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol, weeks of barely eating, not sleeping. I was a zombie for months. I was just functioning on automatic. I wanted to die, but I couldn't let myself die because I always held on to hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that the relationship is over, so you're always thinking that person will knock on the door or that you'll wake up from a sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. I'll be honest, I didn't make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced, and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for couples therapy, but she refused. I know from my lawyer that her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice, but she refused. It took quite a while, but finally the divorce happened. I can't even describe the feeling. I felt and still feel like if a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her, I know I failed, but I think we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back. He only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in sex anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend at my house. Let's call him Nick. We were both pretty drunk. I started talking about my wife, and he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with a lot of confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused. I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her. Until he finally told me. His wife has been in contact with my wife for the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Sabrina, my friend's wife, being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is that my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I felt like dying. I literally felt like dying with this information. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk and missing her and wanting to die every day, she was happily on the other side of the world, getting married, effing and getting pregnant by another guy? How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years, to the point that I thought she was infertile, but she got pregnant by this new guy so easily? Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely anything, and I feel like I can't go on with my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge sex with the first Norwegian guy she came across and got pregnant and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally, and I guess like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know. These thoughts are killing me. I refuse to think that she's in love with him. I need to contact her. I need to talk to her. I need to know what's going on, because she acts like our 10-year history and 8-year marriage is nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse of travelling to her where she is and look for her, but how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in. I don't know where she lives. I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media. Her family is small. They don't live in the same country as me, and all of them blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back. Yes, even pregnant. I feel as if this is a nightmare and I need to wake up now. God, what a frustrating read. I mean, bro, just leave her alone. And stop calling her your wife. She's not your wife anymore, man. And yeah, while Opie was sitting there wallowing in his self-pity the entire time, she was out making a life for herself. So she should. Opie just sounds so pathetic it makes me angry. Let's go to the comments. Is this rage bait? If it's not, I honestly love this whole journey for you, except for being a narcissist and a stalker. Therapists who specialize in NPD exist. Hope this helps. It's been 2 years. She's not coming back. Move on. You cheated. She left. Get over yourself and stop blaming your ex-wife. You are the one who ruined what you had. You are the one who acted like all your years together meant nothing when you cheated. Move on and let her be. Lol, this post in brief. My infertile ass is so special that women I love must of course overlook my cheating and obvious narcissism and give me the life I want because I'm entitled to it. My one mistake is in no way a reflection of me as a person, and my crazy stalking entitlement since then proves it. Once a woman has loved me, it is impossible for her to love any other man because I am perfect, except for that one time cheating. I 100% have no other flaws whatsoever, and that one mistake must be the only reason she dumped me, because I am perfect. Yeah, obvious sarcasm going on there. Okay, Opie makes an edit. I read almost all the comments, and when I say almost all, I really mean almost all. It's hard to process all the crap that's been said about me. I feel like you guys forget that you're talking to a person and not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more empathy by sharing my story here. Just 2 people feeling empathy towards me and their comment made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say that what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I will try to respond, but of course I'll never be able to respond to all the comments over here. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not be able to get over a person. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It will happen when it has to. Those who doubt my story, unfortunately it's real. I would love for this to be fake, but sadly it's not, and I have to live with this mess every day. Everyone assumes she is happy now. I don't know. I mean, how do you know? I haven't seen her in 2 years. I can't have any idea if she's happier or not. Being pregnant doesn't necessarily mean happiness, and being married either. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she got pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one, and just held on to the other guy. Of course, I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I'd been a better person and a better husband to her. But unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I could do is try to make it up to her. But how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Some people said that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. I never openly blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases the tests revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why we couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, and of course the idea that I was too. But in most cases of infertility, it is due to the female factor. Maybe that's why I thought that. Horrible things were said, like I would hurt my ex-wife if she were here. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I'm not an abusive person. I'm not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her way beyond what I can say, but I'm not a monster or a narcissist. Some people said that I never loved her, otherwise I wouldn't have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. You think you can kidnap the concept of love and tell another person what his real feelings are? You think you're inside my head or heart? Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I don't regret it. No one can tell me that this isn't love. Lastly, humans are more complex than most people here think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her, or that I don't have feelings. I called what I did a mistake because how else would I call it? I thought part of accepting blame is accepting that was my mistake, but everyone here takes those words as if I was trying to twist the situation, when that's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, for me, it's been one attempt after another to put together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I simply tried to be open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here. Not for me, at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she emigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Honestly, I'm going to respond to some comments below and then log off of Reddit for a couple of days until I feel in a better place. Yeah, Opie is not escaping the delusional allegations here. Opie responds to some comments. I want to know who you cheated on her with. That's pretty important information. Opie says, it was a random woman that I used to go to the same gym as. Nothing important. It didn't mean anything, not even for a second. I just was being an idiot. Another comment says, you don't seem to have any remorse for cheating. Just mentioned she somehow found out, so you were not planning on telling her? It's been 2 years. You need to accept responsibility for your actions and let go. She's never coming back. There's billions of people out there. Just heal and improve yourself with therapy, and I'm sure you'll get a second chance with someone else. You're only 35. Opie replies, I do feel remorse for cheating. I'm a big mess right now, but I do feel remorse. You may still be in love. She is not, at least not with you. Opie says, so love just fades away, just like this? At the end of the day, this sometimes makes me feel like if I'm actually more loyal than her to our relationship, meaning she left, remarried, got pregnant, looks like if she completely forgot about me, and I'm sitting here crying while I drink some wine and respond to some strangers on Reddit about our relationship. I still love her, but for her it was so easy to get over me. If only half the people on Reddit had the self-respect your ex-wife has. Opie responds, I don't blame her. I understand the pain I caused her, but I also think there are many couples who go through this and move on, especially when it was just one time. I never had a side relationship for months. I didn't cheat on her with multiple women. I didn't get another woman pregnant. I didn't cheat on her with her friend. Cheating is wrong, but are you really going to put me on the same level as a guy who cheated on his wife for years, or who cheated on his wife with her sister? It's not an excuse, but I'm asking for some coherency here. Jeez, I mean, same levels? Maybe not, but it doesn't make you a better person. I want to know what therapist this guy's going to so I know where not to go. I mean, 2 years and this guy's still in complete denial. Okay, Opie makes an update 2 days later. These days have been very strange. At times I feel numb, and at others desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something and then I'll update. Some people asked why Norway. I don't know exactly, but she's a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She's always been interested in Norwegian culture. She's been there before, but she is also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages, so for me that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I will say is that the post reached some people in my circle. Sabrina's sister is on Reddit. She knows the story and realized it was me. She told Sabrina. Sabrina is angry at Nick for revealing information. Nick is angry at me for posting on Reddit, and because he says I pressured him to talk. I'm angry at both of them for being two a-holes who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage. Why should I care about their marriage? Sabrina could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping two friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough, I could find something related to her. I followed some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I'd seen before, but that hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that is not typical in the United States or my wife's country. She's not American, and a very strange last name. I went to her Instagram profile, and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture, only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile. I was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman in their friends? I saw a lot of pictures, people, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, flowers, typical things that an older lady posts, until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride, hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on his wedding. There were a few more pictures, not many. There were even some members of my ex's family in the wedding pictures. The dates of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago, she married this guy. I don't understand. How could it happen so fast? When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant, not before. This baffles me even more. After that, I found another picture. It was a group picture and she was far away, but of course I recognized her. The same guy was there with his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. This picture was from February 2023. To be clear, she left in May 2022. How is she with someone in February 2023? Only 9 months and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family? What the hell is going on here? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those who had imagined this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you, it's not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, too pale, hair too long and kinda chunky to be honest. He looks more like the old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. I managed to find his Facebook profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer who wears metal band t-shirts at 38. I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself, just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical taste as you. I mention this because maybe that was the way they connected. She used to connect easily with people who liked the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and think, where did she get this guy from? I meant he can definitely do better than this. The pregnancy thing still messes with my head and I try not to think about it. I can't understand it. I'm not infertile like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor and I know I'm not. But God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I ever imagined. And no, I'm not going to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her, but I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now, and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce. You took advantage of her situation and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. Sabrina and Nick, F you. Phew, my goodness. I mean, after reading that, I think I know why Opie's ex-wife left him, and I don't think it is entirely to do with the cheating. Let's read some final comments. Quote, Sabrina could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping two friends mend their marriage. Opie is a thick POS. I'll never understand the "it didn't mean anything" or "they meant nothing to me" argument for cheating. So you betrayed the person you claim to love for literally nothing? Do they not realize how awful that sounds? No, of course they don't. Complaining that your ex-wife's new husband is too blonde and tall is a hilarious level of cope. After that long self-pitying rant, I have a suspicion that the cheating was the last straw. Quote, I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she emigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. End quote. But then I thought, what about me? Aren't I the most important person? Aren't I entitled to forgiveness and a loving relationship no matter what I did? What a loser. That's what his entire post sounds like. She's well rid of him. Yeah, I mean, hard to disagree with those final comments there. What do you guys think about this one? Plenty to say, I'm sure. Anyway, let's move on to another story. Alrighty guys, for something a little bit different, we're on the Mum subreddit. This one was written by user Banana Burps, and it's titled, At my wit's end, my son suddenly won't go in his room, but won't tell us why. We moved into a new house about a year ago so that my son, who turns 4 next month, can have his own room. We thought the transition would be rough, but he took to his room almost immediately and have had no issues. He loved his room, has all these toys in there. Bedtime routines went smoothly. Most nights he dozes off after a couple of stories and a smooch on the head. He has his night lights and we keep his door open, even though he never mentioned being scared of the dark. Something changed on July 4th. He spent a good chunk of the afternoon playing in his room, even refusing to come downstairs for a bit. That same night and every night since, he refuses to go into his room at all, insisting on sleeping in our room. He won't go in with us holding hands, and if we're able to get him in for a second to retrieve a specific toy, he won't go all the way in and then immediately run away back down the hall. He has no problem taking a bath in his bathroom across the hall, but he insists we keep the bathroom door closed. Then he runs straight from the bathroom to our room. We have asked him in all sorts of ways why he doesn't want to go into his room, and he'll deflect either by screaming "cowboy hat" a la Muffin, or giggle while naming every animal he can think of. We're guessing he had a nightmare at some point, but he did spend the afternoon in his room with no problem on the day this started. We're not getting anywhere here, and as a result I've been sleeping in his room while he shares our bed with my husband. Maybe I'm looking for someone who had a similar experience with their child that can offer up some fresh ideas, or maybe I'm just venting because I miss my bed. Ugh. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't have a kid, so I'm only really speculating, but I think most likely is he's made up some sort of story in his head and scared himself out of it. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let's go to the comments. Tell him a story about what you think happened in the room. Add some outlandish plot details. He won't be able to resist correcting you. Switch the conversation from asking him what happened to a more subtle approach. Start with a story about yourself that is similar, though not identical. Suddenly you became afraid of something that you hadn't been before. Add as many details and not quick conclusion as possible. Then say something like, "It kind of sounds like what's happening here with your room," and pause for him to answer. I did this when I was 3, and there was a bathroom I refused to go in when I was like 4 or 5. The first time it happened was after my grandfather told me about electricity. I realized there were plugs and electrical wires in my room and decided, F that. With the bathroom at my grandma's house, there were guest towels hanging on the wall that sometimes moved on their own. It was so creepy. At first I just pulled them down and threw them on the floor, but my grandma fussed at me and told everyone who'd listen, so I just stopped going in there. My mum figured it out later. The AC vent was aimed at the towels, causing them to wiggle. I was like, see, I told you they were moving. My guess is he's either scared or ashamed. Could be fireworks like others are mentioning, or it could be really silly. Hopefully not a ghost. I'm thinking like he pooped in the closet, had a potty accident, vomited, broke, or spilled something. Have you torn the room apart to make sure nothing is different about it? Opie replies, my perception is that he seems more scared than ashamed. I've been sleeping in his room every night and checked every single corner, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think it's the fireworks because there were no fireworks going on in the early afternoon when he was actually in his room, and either way he enjoys fireworks so much. We stayed outside all evening and watching them in both the front and back of the house. I've kept his room as normal and welcoming as possible, especially when he's taking a bath. He might crane his head around the corner to get a peek of his room, but ultimately turns and runs. We managed a few times to get him to walk a few steps in and grab a specific toy he wanted, but then he bolted. Yeah, it's strange how, like, as kids we make up these scenarios in our head. I remember once when I was a kid, I thought there was a ghost in my room because the window was, like, not quite shut all the way and the wind was blowing through it, making that kind of whistling, howling noise. Yeah, stupid, but man, that sounds spooky. Anyway, let's go to an update. After exactly 1 month, I finally figured it out. I've been busy but wanted to update because I'm still so stoked he's back in his room. A few days ago, I got my son to acknowledge a couple of his toys from the doorway, and he stepped in a little bit with encouragement. I then took the opportunity to point at objects in his room, and he had a huge reaction to a Marvel poster that had been hanging over his bed since we moved in a year ago. He ran to our bedroom and hid under the covers, so I took it off the wall and walked it through the hallway. I stopped at our room for confirmation, and he freaked out when he saw I was holding it. I told him that it's going in the garbage and he's never going to see it again. I hid it downstairs for later disposal, came back upstairs and told him it was gone. He leapt out of our bed and hurried down the hall to his room and jumped in excitement that evil face is gone. He then screamed in excitement about his Mario Kart bed, tossed my pillow off, threw his Mario pillow on, and tucked himself in. I was so ecstatic I danced around with him the rest of the night saying, "No more evil face." We played with all the toys he missed, and he slept in his room that night and has since been spending even more time in his room playing by himself. He brings up nightly that evil face is gone and his room is fun. To those who are curious, it was a Marvel-framed poster with like 100 plus superheroes and villains. He had always named even some of the more obscure characters. My husband is a comic book guy and passed on this knowledge. I'm not sure which character scared him in particular, but I theorize it was either MODOK or Ego the Living Planet. I didn't stop to have him point out which was the evil face. There you go, case solved. And I've never even heard of those Marvel characters before, but a quick Google and I was like, yeah, fair enough. Like MODOK, if that's how you pronounce it, is pretty freaky looking. Let's read some final comments. I knew it. Yes, Ego and MODOK have very evil faces. Another contender could be Armin Zola. Opie says, that one too, but I couldn't remember his name. To be honest, when my husband put it up, I felt like one day he would be scared of some of the sinister faces on it, but it just didn't click since it'd always been there. When my son was a baby, I put Mickey Mouse and Friends wall stickers near his changing table. He got terrified of their eyes or something and I had to remove them. When he was a preschooler, I bought him pajamas that had a polar bear face on them, and its eyes were angled and fierce-looking. He was scared of it. I took a Sharpie and rounded the polar bear's eyes and brought his eyebrows out and down to look kinder. I was proud of myself for that one. Opie replies, Yup, I think it's best to stay away from eyes and front-facing heads for decor. He still has his big Mario movie poster with Mario and Luigi, but their heads are turned so it's not so aggressive. Plus, he loves Mario and Luigi and they're so the opposite of scary. Alrighty guys, and we're going to leave that one there. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe you got something from your childhood that scared you in a weird way like me. Anyway, let me know down below and we'll move on again. Okay guys, we're jumping over to Petty Revenge. This one was written by user Petty Princess, and it's titled, "Want to use me as a bad example? Enjoy your glitter bomb." So my mother, 52, is married to a complete Dumbo waffle of a man who she's been with for 6 years. I can't stand him. He has an ego that can only be rivaled by alpha idiots, lol. He has disrespected me in my own home, telling me I need to start dressing like an adult. I like to dress in what would be considered goth or emo attire. When my son was admitted to hospital after a seizure that nearly killed him, I jokingly said to my mother over video call, "I'm sorry I ruined your honeymoon." And his response was, "Well, if anyone was going to do it, it would be you." This was not said in a joking manner. The audacity of this man. My flabbers were completely ghasted that he would say something like that when my 2-year-old son was on the ventilator. But anyway, I digress. I will say that over the 6 years my mother has been with this man, he has made no effort to get to know me or my 3 children, and I've actually only spent time with him a handful of times, and during these times he was incredibly condescending and rude. I helped my youngest sister move out of their house this week after some boundaries were crossed, and my mother devolved into what can only be described as a temper tantrum of epic proportions, i.e. shouting at me over the phone because I was not entertaining her bullcrap. My mother could have her own thread with her ridiculousness. My sister went back to my mother's house without me to pick up some more of her things. My mother was not there. This is important. Her husband decided this is a brilliant time to start berating my sister about how she's moving out, and says, "This isn't something you do. This is something that X does," meaning me. Excuse me? Now, I was very mentally ill when I was younger, between the ages of 11 to 15. I'm now 33 going to university where I just passed my first year with distinction and got on the Dean's list for excellence. But I've worked so hard on getting better and making sure my children have all the support I never got. I won't lie, I was ticked. This man knows nothing about me at all, including how effing petty I am. So, I have sent him a glitter bomb full of as much glitter and shiny penis confetti as I could order, about 30 pounds worth, and have sent it to him with a note attached saying, "If you want to talk about what I do, this is what I do." I should also mention that my mum has repeatedly told me how much he hates glitter and how he thinks it's the work of the devil, so I really hope he enjoys cleaning all the sparkly penises. I really wish I could be there to see the look on his face when he realises that not only do I know what he said, but that now he has to explain to my mother why I sent it. It might not be the best petty revenge, but it warms the petty place in my heart, knowing that he'll be finding glitter and penises for months, and every time he does, he'll remember not to use me as a bad example, because I'll give you a reason to call me one. Haha, that's brilliant. Can't wait to see how that turns out. Hope he gives an update. I'm back, so I have the most wonderful update for you all. First of all, I wanted to give some context to a few bits I mentioned in my previous post. 1. I did not send him an envelope full of glitter. I sent him a spring-activated glitter bomb from an online prank store called Postal Pranks. I highly recommend them for your petty revenge plans. 2. My son is absolutely fine now. He is my little ginger whirlwind and has had no further seizures. Now onto the update. Today was my previously mentioned sister's birthday, and she went to see my mother in the Dumbo waffle. Whilst she was there, my mother's husband mentioned to her that someone had glitter bombed him. He then goes on to tell her how he opened it just as he was about to leave for a work trip and was completely covered in glitter and sparkly penises. He then proceeded to lose his crap. He was so covered in glitter he had to change as it was inside his clothing. This delayed home for about an hour. My mother proceeded to lose her crap as she had a guest over at the time who witnessed the entire spectacle take place. My sister, those drama classes truly paid off here, goes on to ask questions to see if he had any idea who had sent it, and that's where it gets mind-blowingly good. He has no idea it was me. Neither him or my mother have any idea who sent this or why he got it. He obviously has no idea that my sister told me what he'd said about me, so now I'm deciding how I want to let them know it was me, or if I do, maybe I'll just let him have a stroke every time he sees a package that he didn't order. Oh my god, this guy's certainly not very self-aware if he didn't put 2 and 2 together. Either that or he has a lot of enemies. Let's read some final comments. Don't tell them at all. Whisper it in his ear on his deathbed. Don't tell him. He's the kind of a-hole who has a lot of enemies. Let him wonder who did it. Let the paranoia stew. Deny any knowledge of the glitter bomb. It may force him to be nicer to everyone as he tries to track down who sent the glitter bomb. Then send him something else a few months later. Shipperdick.com has a bunch of dicks complete with glitter bomb options. There's even a dick trophy. I learned about them when the host of the Distorted View podcast got a dick trophy in the mail for the 20th anniversary of his podcast. The host loved it and has it on display in his studio. Sending your mum's ambulatory waffle stomp a dick trophy with an ambiguous or insulting engraving that still doesn't tell him who it's from will only ramp up his paranoia. Congratulations on being the biggest dick in town, even if yours is below average. All great ideas as well. And yeah, I definitely learned something about glitter bombs today. I wasn't sure if that's entirely legal, but I guess it's just a prank, bro. Anyway, give me your thoughts about that one and we'll move on again. Alrighty, another cheeky revenge story. This one was written by user TML1668 and it's titled, I grew up, only girl, with 7 teenage boys. So I lived in a 2-story family house in my early teens. We lived downstairs. My mum, my stepdad and 3 older brothers. Upstairs was 2 parents with 4 boys too, so there was a lot of testosterone in the air, to be frank. So we lived with sharing rooms. The boys shared 2 rooms. I was stuck in the middle with a very, very small space, 5 or 6 kVm or square meters. While their rooms looked and smelled awful, I made sure to keep my small, personal space very neat and tidy. I also invested in a full TV setup with a quite large TV in the mid to late 90s. I found out that if I was away, my brothers would use my room to be disgusting in, as if the rest of the house wasn't enough. They would use my bed, my TV and VHS and just lay there jerking off, sweating and smoking and scratching their balls and crap. So one day I found out that they would also use my room to bring a girl once in a while. Flash forward to me, on my knees making my bed with a thin spreadsheet with about 250 flat-headed pushpins under it, covering the entire 90 by 200 mattress, and then I left for school. Later the next day, I got a call from my mum. She had a very hard time trying not to laugh too much while telling me that my one brother had been working hard to get with this girl from school. She knew he was a F-boy, but gave him a shot. The shot was in my room, on my bed, on a needle mattress. No human was harmed, but no one ever used my room after that. My brother says 25 years later, he still checks his chairs, etc., just to make sure there's no needles. Ouch, what do you mean no humans harmed? That would hurt like hell. And is it just me, or are the flat-headed pushpins like way sharper than the other ones? Either way, deserved, I suppose. Alright, let's go to another one. Alrighty, this next one was written by user Original Deadly Sin, and it's titled, I can't pick my neighbours, but I can pick their lock. Back in the far-off days of '02, I lived in a duplex. The people in the other half of the duplex complained to the landlord all the time for nothing. As in, I was once woken up at 2 a.m. by my landlord calling to say that the neighbours reported me having a crazy loud party and keeping them awake. I was sleeping, I was alone, there were no lights on and there was nothing making noise. Well, I do snore. Basically, she complained to be petty and made up things constantly. There's your background. So on the property was a shed with a landlord-supplied electric lawnmower. I mowed my half one day and thought, what the hell, let's do their half too. However, the cord didn't reach to their whole yard from my outlet, so I plugged into their outlet for the last 10% of their side of the lawn. The next day, she threw a fit at me that I used her electricity. A long fit, a loud fit. I pretty much shook my head, threw my hands up and walked away from it. I used pennies of your electricity to mow your lawn. I don't even expect gratitude. It's a small unasked favour, but why bite my head off over it? The next day, she's got someone on her side installing those clear boxes over her 2 outlets with padlocks on them. Clearly a normal response. Petty revenge begins here. I take a gander when she's not home. Those locks are clearly the cheapest locks they could find at Walmart. I go to Walmart and buy 2 identical ones. They were like $6. One of my hobbies is lockpicking. I'm absolutely not a master. I'm probably not even good, but I sure as hell can open the cheapest padlocks ever made in seconds. I replaced the locks with my own. Looks exactly the same. Took a few weeks, but looking out my window one day to see her with an overgrown lawn and hearing her futilely slamming a hammer against the clear boxes for half an hour made all the frustration worthwhile. Next time, shut up and take the favour. Amen. Serves her right. Alright guys, well we're going to leave that one there. And that's all from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.